is the wall to those who fell in the Warsaw Uprising at the Warsaw Uprising Museum. Today, we meet a remarkable man, 10 when the Second World War broke out, 12 when he joined the underground, 13 when he was tortured by the Gestapo, 15 when he took part in the Warsaw Uprising itself. This is the remarkable story of Professor Julian Kulski. Join me on Poland Daily History as we look at this remarkable man's story and his remarkable life. And then, so after the war, you went, I think you say you went first to England, to Great Britain too.
Well, what happened was there, when my father was saying goodbye in the middle of burning Warsaw, he knew that the Russians were going to be the next occupier. And he says, son, if you survive the TB and the camp, don't come back to Poland as free and independent, but go to London, because his brother was the ambassador in London.
Ah, right, okay.
And so the Americans took me from the camp and dropped me on the other side of the Elbe. And these two guys, the next day, took me under the arms. If I couldn't walk, I was walking skeleton. We sat under a tree, and they said that they were going to smuggle me into America. And I didn't speak English, but I explained to them that I want to go to London. So they just looked at me. It must be crazy. Here, Americans, and you want to go to England? I couldn't explain why. But finally, they agreed, they consented, and there were a couple of British Tommy guys, Tommies walking by. And in English, they explained to the English that this kid wants to go to London. So they took me under the arms and took me into the camp. But this was prisoners from the West Kent Regiment, which was captured at Tobruk.
Okay.
So they were prisoners for a long time.
Yeah.
And they remember Polish troops fighting. So now I can see that they saw this Polish kid and took a particular interest in saving him.
Yeah.
Plus, trying to fool the intelligence services. Because, I didn't speak English. They knew I was going to be interrogated, like every prisoner of war before I get on the plane. So they put me gave me a West Kent uniform, battle dress, and gave me a name, William Jones, and the serial number that I wrote down. But there was still the problem of talking. So they bandaged my throat, and I was shot through at Tobruk, according to them. And that's what when we went through the colonels and the generals, British, they saw this poor kid. Really, I was a skeleton. He saluted and passed me by. Then we went to Brussels, and in Brussels we boarded the Liberators. And it was quite a trip across these guys said, well, all the prisoners, after all these years, there will be girls. And he said, you have to learn how to say that you're glad to be in England. He said, it's a very word, just a short word. And they were singing Auld Lang Syne and all the way to Tipperary on the way. It was quite moving. And then we landed at Oxford, and sure enough, just as they told me, there would be Royal or Air Force band. There would be a marshal, he was there, and there would be the girls. So there were two girls on each side, and they sent me first down the steps, and they just sat down and watched it. And I looked at the one girl, I looked at her and said that word, a very four-letter words. And they dropped me on the tarmac. They had a wonderful job, you know, but it was worth for saving a life. Then I went to the intelligence office, and I said I was a Polish army officer. I wanted to be sent, a soldier, and I wanted to be sent to Scotland. Next day they sent me back.
Okay.
I couldn't walk still. They had a St. John's ambulance that took me to Scotland.
And then from Scotland you went to?
From Scotland, I was able to call the embassy, my uncle, say I was in England, and they got, because of my health, I got leave and was able to go to London. My uncle was living in Pinner at that time.
Okay, yes. Okay, and then ultimately you found your way to America,
yes,
where you became an architect.
Yes, I got the end of my year of architecture at Oxford, I got my visa, and I took the Queen Mary. And but before even I left Oxford, I already applied to 3 schools of architecture in America. One was Harvard, one Yale, and one was University of Michigan. And Yale was interested in hiring me as a student, but needed papers from Oxford to show how many credit hours we had. Well, so by that time, I was kicked out of the School of Architecture, and I went back to see the dean and told him that I needed a paper saying, and he said, oh, these damn stupid Yankees. He said, don't you know that in architecture you work 10 hours a day, 7 days a week, which we did. And so he wrote the number of hours. And when I got to Yale, they looked at it and they said, well, you've got enough credit hours for 2 or 3 PhDs. And I had to convince them that I didn't learn anything at Oxford and insist on starting from the freshman year. But right now this wouldn't happen because everybody knows what American credit hours are.
Yes.
But that was...
Yes. And I just want to, because this is a fascinating story, and I want to just by way, because I think history is interesting as what it teaches you about the present as much as what it teaches you about the past. And when you think of your own life, and you're particularly as a 10-year-old boy, war breaks out, and then very quickly your early teen years are spent actually fighting, what do you make of today's youth, who a few years older than you, in their 18s and 19s and 20s, they go to university, and they have to be protected from an idea which they find they don't like? I mean, you must think these are very strange people.
Well, I think that's, I say that war and peace is like health and sickness. They both exist and always will exist. And the reason that our young people are not stronger is that they have everything easy in life. So it's not their fault, it's the fault of society and of the parents. But I have 2 sons. I try to bring them up the right way, but you can't do it artificially. I can't create war.
No,
I can't bring Germans. I can't bring tanks.
You can't. You couldn't find them a German nanny.
No. Oh well, I suppose I didn't want to do that.
That would be too much. Yes. Yeah, exactly. No, I just find this concept of you've got to have a university, you've got to have a safe space. And I thought, reading your book, there were no safe spaces in Żoliborz in 1943 and 1944. There were no safe spaces for people of that generation on the landing beaches of Normandy. There was no safe space. There was me, and there was a German or lots of Germans with guns and tanks and things.